I'm Rob Licuria, Senior Editor at Gold Derby, here with Expats production designer Yong Ok Lee. Young, what many viewers won't have realised is that you were tasked with accurately portraying Hong Kong from 10 years ago while partially shooting the show in LA. So that's a pretty huge undertaking to get right, isn't it?
It is. It was, yeah.
And tell me more about like, what was the main challenge in trying to make sure that you got that right?
Shooting in LA
Yeah.
for Hong Kong set. Mm, Mainly for the material, like, I mean, the design-wise, we already, because like this show, we shot in Hong Kong almost like, 6 months already. And then we moved to LA. And then when I moved to LA, we didn't decide all the set building in LA yet. I only know like a Margaret's apartment building in LA. So I was prepared that set building in LA, but the other set I didn't expect to build in LA. And then so the decision made really last minute. So everything is hard because we didn't really, I mean, the design wise I already done because the set was supposed to be shooting in Hong Kong anyway, so we already created all the design layout and material and everything, so design part was done. So we just need to figure out how we can bring all the material back to LA, and then like how I can convince our set designers and then construction people to make it right. Because the way to build and then the like hardware, all the details very different, the way like the LA built. So it was challenging to communicate with the team. And I mean, luckily I have my art director to carry from Hong Kong to LA. So she helped a lot to kind of explain, like, what's difference between Hong Kong and LA, and then the material wise and all the details. So,
Yeah.
and then like when we are in Hong Kong, like when we build set in Hong Kong, we usually use all the real material from China. So it was because it was much cheaper to get the material in China, even like a marble and real wood, like all the material was way cheaper than using the thinning artist. So we use all the real material in Hong Kong, and then when I back to LA, there's no way I can get real material from, especially same material because I need to match the set. So everything we need to recreate, and then we kind of like print out, like the scanning the material and print out and then aging on top. So it's lots of like process to make the detail right. Luckily, I have enough time to be honest because we have lots of pause time for the COVID and everything. So we kind of like could make it work, but it was definitely a challenge.
What was the reason behind moving to LA after 6 months and being in Hong Kong?
Um, It was obviously for the COVID because
Mm.
we shot like when the COVID really like on the peak. Our original plan was shooting in Hong Kong for the location set and then building the set in Malaysia. That was original plan. And then when we like ready to move to Malaysia, the Malaysia shut down basically because their COVID numbers like on the peak. So we couldn't go to Malaysia. So production decided to go back to LA. But when we decided to go back to LA, we thought we are going, we probably like able to shoot in Hong Kong most of the location or that piece and then back to LA. But of course, Hong Kong is extremely difficult to shoot for the interior. So and also there are lots of like a policy for the COVID. So
Yeah.
we couldn't really get what we want for some location. And then some location, we have lots of challenge for the schedule wise. So even during the like LA shoot, production still kind of figuring out like which set we are going to move to LA, which set we are going to shoot in Hong Kong. And we end up decide like, okay, we are going to move everything in LA because it's much easier. We own our like a big space in LA, everything we can control better. So that's why, you know.
It sounds like a lot. Like it's unfortunate that you were obviously shooting and production was going on during COVID, which made things so difficult. And of course, as you say, Hong Kong can be challenging when doing interiors. So yeah, that sounds like a lot of pressure on the production design team to make that work. I want to talk a little bit about some of the detail. For example, obviously this show revolves around expatriate women and the people that orbit their lives. It's all quite distinctive, and a lot of our insight into each of them comes from their homes. Can you talk us through how much work went into making their homes, Hillary's and Margaret's and Mercy's homes, authentic and lived in?
Mm, it was very obvious, like there are three women, Margaret and Hillary, and Mercy has different backgrounds. And then also like Mercy and Margaret and Hillary is similar, but Mercy is obviously like a lower class. She doesn't have money, and young woman. She came Hong Kong for refresh her new life, whatever. So when I designed Margaret and Hillary's apartment, like it was like their own world, you know, their expat world. Like they live in bubble. Even in Hong Kong, when I scout like all the expat house, they're like you see all the luxurious, and then you know they're like a different level of like houses. So we decided, okay, like what kind of apartment they live in. Like first of all, they probably need to live like on the peak, the most precious view from the window. So uh, I designed like, you know, the house of like more like Asian house, because the Asian house usually has like the big difference between Asian apartment and US apartment is a material. Like usually in US we use lots of wood and then like a different wooden frame, but in Asia we have mostly like concrete and stainless metal and different material and different layouts. So I want to keep that elements to make look like Asian apartment, like a full length of window and you know stainless like window frames. Also, there is like a partition when you come into the apartment, and also cookie cutter rooms. It's like mostly like a box shape, you know,
Mm.
apartment in Asia. But I also don't want to make very typical Asian apartment for cinematic reason. So I kind of like make balance between like this, like it's enough to see Asian apartment, but also I want to make a little bit open space to make like the camera can
Yeah,
move like go through like better to see all the area. So like for example, like Margaret's apartment, I made like a dining room, like from living room to see dining room, also the little bit kitchen. And then living room also owns the family room with like a TV partition, which is a little bit unique for Asian apartment, but still there's like a room for purpose, you know, for kids room and then, you know, something like that. So I kind of make combine for those two elements, but also the most important part for the apartment is the immigrant workers space. So usually in Hong Kong, like different level of classism, like because they are like higher, like they have like the workers' room, like a tiny room and then tiny bathroom, and usually they connect to the laundry room and then kitchen, and then they have different entrance for the workers' like the space. So that element is crucial for this apartment set design. So that's what I designed for
yeah,
Margaret and Hillary's. Marcy's is different. She basically her space is more like a local because she doesn't have money. She got the, you know, she got the like a cheap rent apartment in Hong Kong, and area is also not really expensive area. So I kind of like into more like a local apartment, how they live together and then how they can make the layout. So we got the location, but the location is not the real apartment. It was just like empty building. So I divide that location for different rooms because usually lots of time the home owner make like one unit to divide like 3, 4 different units, like a small apartment. So sometimes their layout really funky, even the window kind of divide two different space because they divide like one space to several rooms. So Mercy's apartment idea is more like that. So she has very tiny apartment with like a long hallway, but also her room cannot have separate door. Her room always through the bathroom. So
Mm, yeah.
it's kind of like a funny layout. You can tell from from the show, but her interior design it's a little bit different. Like she's from Brooklyn and she's a little bit hipster maybe, and she's young. So I don't want to make her room apartment look same as the Hong Kong local. So her apartment little more minimum than Hong Kong local apartment. She doesn't have lots of stuff like layer. She has a little bit more simple and minimal stuff. She kind of make everything like a makeshift furniture instead of real furniture because she's not sure how long she's going to stay in her apartment. So like there are different logic to make their set basically.
Um, so the production design is so to me so authentic that when you watch Expats, you just think that you found some location that was already there and you just filmed in someone's house. It's very, to me, feels very lived in and real, which is I think a good sign for you and your team that you did a good job because it looks like you just walked in and it was ready to go. So is that what production designers want? They don't want to be noticed. They want it to be so lived in that the story can unfold if you've done the right thing and you've created the space for them.
Yeah, exactly. Especially this show, I want look like real. Like I don't want anything like a pops like, oh, this is design we did. Um, because I don't want to distract any story, like any character, for by the design. My purpose always support the character and the story, but also because we are showing like Hong Kong a lot, I want to make sure I can make Hong Kong as right perspective. Like I don't want like here like this is not real. Like you kind of make Orientalism or Asian like
Yeah.
country. And like as a being Asian, I'm more careful to do it because like even like I'm Asian, I'm not like Cantonese. I don't know their culture much. Like I may know better than a little bit more like American, but
Than
still,
me. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, still it is not like my culture, my country. So I don't know like the detail much. So I had to research a lot, especially our background is like a 2014 in Hong Kong, and then that time era in Hong Kong very confusion year. So it was crucial to show that even the like local life is very messy and confusion in that time era. And also it's very symbolic year, I feel. So I researched a lot of the background 2014 Hong Kong politics and society and economy, but also I want to make sure like I can make balance between expat and local perspective because it's not all about Hong Kong local, it's also about expat from their perspective as well. So I kind of like research some, photographer who is not Hong Kong, like Hong Kong or who is more like American or Western, who shot like beautiful shot, but maybe they capture, something more like on their own filter.
Yeah. From their
But
perspective. Yes.
yeah, but some part of the design, I kind of follow that instinct because it's also their own world, expat world. So
Yeah.
when I show local life, when I show like a more expat life, I made a little bit like different decision choice basically between those two.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but initially I really want to make this show looks real, so nobody knows which part is set, which part is, real location. I don't want everybody like recognize, oh, this is noodle shop, because noodle shop I also built in LA. And then I was hoping nobody know we shot in the States instead of real location.
There's no way. There's no way at all that we can tell. I had no idea. I felt really immersed in Hong Kong, and I learned a lot about expat life. And as you said earlier, the classism that is very much a part of Hong Kong life. And it's so apparent when you watch Hillary and Margaret, and then Mercy, and then especially the workers, the Filipinas. In that feature length episode, episode 5, we learn so much more about the workers. They go on a picnic, they sing raw outside. Was that a particularly interesting part of this journey for you to design a bit more from the workers' Filipina level?
Yeah, of course, because it was very new to me as well. And then I was surprised when I went, from the start, beginning, we went scouting lots of locations because we didn't really want building the set from the beginning. We want to stick every single location, like from beginning, it was dream. Uh, so we went lots of different houses for expat, and then also interview some immigrant workers in there, and then they basically their life is like every Sunday they have one day off.
Mm,
So like I need to know what they are doing on Sunday, and some people like go picnic like on just explore like all the area, and then they hang out with their colleagues. Some people want to do part-time job even, so they go another like house with which need like maybe Sunday worker. So there are lots of like difference between them either. And also, by race, like there's a specific area, Filipino worker only hang out. There's specific area only Indonesian worker hang out. So also it's very divided. So it was very unique society to picture for me, because like even in Korea we don't have that kind of like immigrant workers. So every Sunday I went out to see what they are doing, what they using it, what's they like what they singing, what is they playing, what they eat. We kind of like see myself instead of like sitting in the computer and then research. So I saw lots of different level of the workers as well. So like I kind of wanna get inspiration from them. Okay, what's the ethic's life then? What's the purist life? Like, what
yeah,
should I take from them? So it was pretty interesting,
yeah,
job to design for their life.
I can imagine. We're running out of time, but there's one final question I was going to ask you. There's a lot of other sets that you did, like the Noodle House, but I was actually really interested in the morgue, the one that's in China, where they travel to China to see whether or not a young child is their own. And it could just have been it's a relatively straightforward and simple set, but I found it so overbearing. I was extremely tense and uncomfortable. And a lot of that had to do with the way it was shot. But I just wonder if there was anything in particular you were working on to make that morgue as unwelcoming as possible.
Yeah, like the more like uh, I'm glad you asked me this question, because the Moog the only ones that we were thinking to build a set from beginning, because we don't want like a Moog like as real. Like that's the only set like we don't want to make real. Like it can be little bit like it's more like a nightmare for
Yeah.
Margaret. And then we like Lulu, the director wants when Margaret into the morgue, she wants make the space like a maid. She's not sure where she go, and then where she is, and then all kind of confusion, also the emotion, the weight of emotion. So we kind of planned, okay, we could build like a hallway and then, the rooms, waiting rooms, and then the cold room, everything. But we couldn't really build everything at the end because, we don't have time and then, budget, all the limitations. So we got the location, the hallway, and then I built a set, the three different rooms, two waiting room, and then little bit hallway, and then cold room. So my biggest challenge to make that set to match hallway and then the rooms, because I have very specific design for that. I want like a mirroring, like almost like two waiting room has the same layout, but like just mirror. So nobody knows, like she went to first waiting room and then she go to second waiting room. She's not sure where she is, like it just looks same, but just opposite layout. So something like this. And then I have very specific color, theme for the mall. And then we ended up got the location, which is completely different in America, in the US. And it doesn't look anything looks like China even. So I had really, really hard time. And then, we ended up match the color, easiest color what they have. And then I kind of matched the waiting room color with the hallway, and then we paint the hallway a little bit and then make the morgue. So, but the design process was really fun because even the big mural, if you remember, there's like two mural. One is it's a same mural, but one is like more like a brownish green, and the other one has a flower. It's the same location, but we just make two different seasons basically. So I kind of want to make like a play with the
Yeah.
set a lot.
It's so
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you like. I thought it was just maybe I was imagining this, but you could have taken the easy way and just filmed in a warehouse and just left it at that. But that morgue, the whole scenes in the morgue were terrifying, and it was a nightmare. And a lot of it had to do with this claustrophobic, confusing art direction that you were able to achieve. On that note, Yong, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations on some really impressive work in Expats.
Thank you so much.